it was only schools, that would be different. We could approach this in a different way. If only schools were the sites of the next mass murder, that would be different. But then the movie theaters come along, and then the church shootings come along, and then the mosques, then the temples, and we suddenly start to realize that approaching this from a security-based standpoint in schools is a wonderful first step, but we're not going to be able to run away from gun violence. And I'm sure all of you remember after Columbine happened, it might have made sense to run away from gun violence because that was supposed to be an anomaly. That was supposed to be the one, and everybody was shocked. Well, Columbine-sized shootings are happening multiple times a year now, and the shock value has dropped. People aren't shocked anymore. People are angry, and people are beside themselves and upset, but we're not surprised anymore. Every day I open Twitter, which is already enough of a disgusting thing, but I open Twitter and I see the next mass shooting. I see that 4 people have been killed and 8 have been injured here. And after my community was rocked by gun violence, rocked in a negative way, not in like a way, but after my community was affected by that, I thought that every time I saw a shooting, it would bring it all back, and I would not be able to handle myself. Every time there was a mass shooting, I would be just as down and depressed as I was in the mass shootings following the one at my high school. But I've realized recently, I look at them and I say, that's awful. And then I live my life and I move on every day. And I think we've all become a bit desensitized. And I think we've all started seeing these as these awful traumatic events, but we've seen them as almost inevitable. We've seen them as something that can be prevented but won't because we have a government that doesn't want to take action on it. And unfortunately, we've become a world that's almost complacent in these issues because we shrug them off as just the result of a country that isn't quite there yet. Well, look, I'm 18, I have to grow up, which is going to be annoying. And unfortunately, I'm assuming my children will be going through the same mass shooter drills, getting ready for the same events, and dealing with the same mass shootings. I shouldn't even consider, I should not be at a point where I'm even thinking about what my kids are going to be going through, my God. I have to be worrying about my student loan debt right now. But, I know, right? But unfortunately, this issue will not stop unless we take very strong actions, and that's why I'm here with Congressman Swalwell, and that's why whenever Congressman Swalwell asked me to show up in the middle of a state that takes 2 hours to get to from the airport, I'm here, and you're all here. Clap for yourselves too. You're all here, which means you care enough to show up on Monday. Look, it's summer, I'm not going to know. You all care enough to show up on a Monday night, and that's one of the main reasons we have to do these town halls. That's why we have to talk about this. We need to get moving, we need to get energized and organized, and we need to start getting ready to take these issues the way they are. And that's why every single time we go out and speak to people, it's so important that this conversation leaves this room. Because we can talk about gun violence in the town hall all we want. We can discuss how we can end these issues, but it can't end in this room. Everybody needs to leave here, and if you understand this issue for what it is, you need to mobilize and you need to start moving. Because unfortunately, the shootings aren't going to stop just because we want them to. The shootings are going to stop once we take drastic actions. And that's why I could not be more thrilled to introduce my boy, Eric Swalwell. Quick round of applause for Kasky.